Good evening. The purpose of this public meeting is to provide information about the proposed grow-out site in Aransas Bay, answer questions on this proposed site, and give instructions on how to submit public comment. To give a little history on the Cultivated Oyster Mariculture Program, or COM, this is a program where TPWD permits the activity of oyster mariculture to grow out or farm sites and nursery hatchery sites. This is for cage culture of eastern oyster, and applicants select their own sites and conduct a natural resource survey, and that selection is done in conjunction with, highly encouraged to be in conjunction with TPWD, where we take into consideration potential siting conflicts such as natural resources in the area like seagrass or oyster beds, oil and gas structures, and potential user conflicts. Permits are 10-year term with annual fees paid every year based on the size of the permit of the area. Authorizations are also needed from other agencies such as Texas General Land Office, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and the U.S. Coast Guard. Harvests can occur year-round, but they must comply with all Texas Department of State Health Services and National Shellfish Sanitation Program regulations. Some examples of the types of gear for this cage culture you'll see are up here in the top left are floating bags. And these bags are thick and rigid kind of plastics with different mesh size or openings based on the size of the oysters that are growing in with them. Then moving up, floating cages are larger metal structures that then contain the bag-like structures. There's also an adjustable long line system where there are floating baskets on a line that are moved up and down in the water column. And a new emerging style that we're seeing in Texas are flip style cages and baskets. So they baskets, like on an adjustable long line system, about 3 feet long, about a foot in diameter, have a single float, but they're all strung together on a line, and then using a mechanical means to lift those up and flip them over for desiccation position or harvest. For tonight's subject site, Aransas site proposed A is a grow-out site located in Aransas Bay. That's Shellfish Harvest Area TX29, and these are approved waters for shellfish harvest. And this would be a 2-acre site. Again, it is in Aransas Bay towards the south end near what is commonly called Mud Island, and Site A is to the north of the Mud Island, and it is about just over or close to 6,000 feet from already permitted site G0009, and it is approximately 2,700 feet from Mud Island, the shoreline there. For the operations plan summary, they will access and tend the site via boat and also do tumbling and sorting of oysters on the site on the boat. The type of gear they propose to use are floating cages. There will be a mainline 1/2-inch double braided rope with attached to 60-inch helix anchors into the sediment. For bird deterrence, they propose to use spikes on cages, and this picture just kind of shows an example of how spikes could look. There are many different configurations of spikes, but again, protrusions, hard metal or plastic strips located on those floats. The corner markers are proposed are pillar or column buoys with the marine light safety lights on that. And again, this is, as always, these corner markers and navigation markers are pending U.S. Coast Guard approval. For their storm plan, when a storm is in the Gulf, enters the Gulf, they will assess cage density, double check any gear lines for wear. 48 hours before a storm, if they're in that cone of uncertainty, will determine, based on the wind speed and category of the storm, if they will be sinking the cages, and if sinking, start that process. They will do a final check of the site when the storm warning is issued for the area. After a storm, they would revisit site to inventory gear, document any damages, any lost gear, and refloat cages if the cages were sunk. This is an example layout for the site with basically two main columns of cages on main lines, with an area in the middle space to allow a boat to run through. And an example cross-sectional view, though this shows a chain, the proposal again is to use double braided rope, and this anchor, they propose the helix anchor type, which, going back, this is kind of these long anchors that are screwed in the ground are helix anchors. As part of the application process, a natural resource survey is done at the site. They used side scan and with ground truthing of sediment samples, and this is a picture of the slide scan in the background, and the dots indicate those locations for sediment samples within the 500-foot buffer and within the site itself. No features or potential oyster bed or seagrass was noted on the side scan, nor found in the sediment samples, which consisted mainly of mud with fine shell hash. The site averaged between 7.5 and 8.8 feet. The samples, and these are two pictures representative from the sediment samples that were taken, were done with a petite ponar grab. And again, no evidence of oyster habitat, or seagrass within the site or the buffer. The next step for this proposed Aransas Bay, shortened AB here, Site A, is the public comment period, which will be open until August 20th. And to make public comment, you will send that to the oyster.mariculture@tpwd.gov email address for public comment. After that public comment period, if public comment is received, anything that would need to be dealt with, then TPWD will work with the applicant and around an issue. After that, then a conditional permit will be issued. Now, during the conditional permit phase, mariculture activity cannot begin. That's when the applicant would go and get the other agency authorizations. Once all of the other authorizations are received, come back to TPWD, present those authorizations, then a final permit will be issued pending once the first annual payment is received and activity can begin. So again, public comment can be submitted to the TPWD, or to the email address of oyster.mariculture@tpwd.texas.gov.